All right, welcome everyone here to our masterclass. My name is Heather Choate. I am one of the co-owners and co-founder of High Thrive Coaching with my partner, Marc Johnston. And I'm super excited and grateful that you guys are here. To me, that says something amazing about you, that you are here to learn about how to create a healthy relationship and how to stop a divorce, how to end an affair, how to end a separation, how to turn an unwilling spouse into someone that's willing to work on the marriage with you. And we are the ICU for marriages. And what I'm going to share with you today is not just great information, but it truly leads to transformation. And this method is unlike anything else out there because I personally have been married 18 years with my husband, Ben, and I felt like I tried all the things when our marriage was on the verge of divorce. Therapy, YouTube videos, self-help books, listening to friends, working on myself, taking all the advice of all these people, and nothing worked. And so this process is a proven step-by-step process that is going to radically transform your relationship. So I want this to be a dialogue, not just a monologue. And the best way to do that is to use the chat. So I'm going to do exercises with you. I'm going to ask you questions, and I want you guys to share your answers in the chat, especially any questions that you have specific to your relationship, because your relationship is unique, just like you. It's like your thumbprint, right? There's no one else out there that has your spouse and has your personality, that has your relationship. So the more specific you can be with me about what's going on in your relationship, the more I can help you. Sound good? All right. So the chat is open. You guys can ask questions over there. Let me know any aha moments you have, and definitely weigh in on the polls and some of the questions that I'm going to be asking. And then after we go through some of these things, I'm going to share with you the 4 steps to save your marriage from divorce without getting your heart hurt. And this works even if your spouse isn't wanting to talk to you right now, even if they're only talking about surface level things, even if there's an affair going on, multiple affairs, broken trust from the past, they're wanting a divorce. How do I know it works? Well, we've helped over 15,000 couples now to save their marriage with this process. So it's my heart and my mission to give you guys the very best that we possibly have so that you can get the very best results and do it in a very short amount of time. All right, let's dive into it. So I'm going to launch a poll here, and you guys let me know, what is your situation? Are you couple A, where you have divorce already filed, or your spouse is threatening divorce? Maybe they're already talking to a lawyer. They're saying they want out. You have separation going on right now. You want to know what to do to cancel that divorce, just end that divorce, and get back together with them. Are you couple B? No trust affairs. Maybe there are lots of trust issues, but your spouse doesn't believe what you say or do, or vice versa. Okay. And couple C would be dealing with a huge lack of communication, maybe blocked communication, or you can't talk without arguing. Your spouse doesn't open up. They avoid the deeper levels of communication. All right. So weigh in on your answers over here on the poll. You guys should see the poll launched there. And the more you guys let me know what's going on, the more I can help you with your relationship and tailor what I shared today to what you guys are going through. Awesome. And welcome to Coach Curtis. He is here to help us in the chat. So he will be answering any questions that you guys have in case I miss any. So welcome to Coach Curtis. He's here to help you guys out as well. All right, awesome. I see a lot of you guys weighing in. Some comments here. Moving towards divorce, just separation now. What if you have all 3 elements? Yeah, that can happen as well. Moving in with a boyfriend, wants divorce, won't talk, secretive, only talks business, no communication, having an affair. B and C. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for weighing in on the poll. I'm going to share the results. So we have 45% of you have divorce filed or talks of threats of divorce, 36% no trust affairs, and 18% no communication. All right. Thank you guys for sharing with me so that I can help you with that today. All right. Now I want you to weigh in on the chat and ask yourself these 2 questions. First, where do I want my marriage to be 3 months from now? If your marriage could be anywhere from now, 3 months from now, where would you want it to be? For some of you, that might look like, I want them to end the affair. I want them to leave the other person. I want them to talk to me again. I want to be able to talk about anything. I want to feel like the tension is reduced between us. I want them to stop pulling away Maybe I want them to put their wedding ring back on. I'd love for her to move back home or him to move back home. What does that look like for you guys specifically? And then second, how will it feel to have your spouse in love with you again? Wanting to be with you, willing to work on the marriage with you, opening up conversation with you, initiating conversation, initiating intimacy, asking you on dates. How good would that feel? So put your answers over in the chat because I want to see where you guys want to go. All right. I want to be able to move beyond the resentment they feel towards me without feeling like I'm walking on eggshells. So if you could let that resentment go and your spouse could let that resentment go, it sounds like, and not feel like you have to walk on eggshells, how good would that feel? What kind of things would you be able to talk about? How would you want to spend your time? What would you do in the evening? What would you do on the weekends? What would the look on your spouse's face be when you greet each other at the end of the day? All right, move back into our bedroom and it would make me ecstatic. Yeah, so you're no longer separated, maybe even in the same house, but you're back in the same bedroom. You share that kind of connection and have that trust, that security, and that intimacy. And yes, it would make you ecstatic. There we go. I just want to slow down, only separated 4 months. So you want to feel like maybe you have solid ground underneath your feet. Yeah. And that things are not so chaotic. You just want things to kind of slow down. So you maybe can both figure out where you're going. Does that sound about right? I want to be talking with my wife and forming the closeness and new marriage that would be a great future for us both. Yeah, Curtis says, Coach Curtis here, all great goals and all very attainable. Yes, we're going to share with you how you can get there and how so many of our clients have done exactly that. All right, I want to have open communication and a healthy relationship and her move back home. It would be the most amazing feeling. I want to be done talking about divorce and moving out, falling in love again. Tension reduced, better communication, willing to trust. I'm changing instead of only looking at my past self and putting a wedding ring back on. I love that you talked about only looking at your past self. And we're going to talk about how important it is to understand your spouse's narrative about you and how with our 4-step process here, we call it the path process, we're going to change that narrative. So they don't see you in the way that they do right now. And they don't see you through the lens of the past, but they can see you with fresh eyes. Does that sound good? Who here wants that? Raise your hand. Let me know. All right. Be living together again. Yes, I miss her showing me love. Yeah, I'll see lots of hands raised. Awesome. Pause or end the divorce process and communicate more often just to hear she says she loves me again. If she comes to you and she says, I love you. I am sorry. I made a huge mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. I want to be with you. That would be an incredible feeling, right? And to know that it's not just words, but these are decisions that they're making because they want to be with you for life. That's what we help you do. So a little bit about us here at High Thrive Coaching. Like I mentioned, we've been helping tens of thousands of couples, right? And our big discovery after working with all these couples is that we found there's one little thing that's a big reason why marriages are ending in divorce. And we discovered something, I say it's insane because no one else is talking about this and no one gets even close to the results that we get. So these are the 4 steps to save your marriage. The first one is the pause button. This is where they stop pulling away from you more. And like one of the comments here said, you kind of slow things down so it doesn't feel so insecure, so chaotic, and so much tension between you. Okay. Second step is they start to take some steps towards you. They start to make those initiative efforts. Sorry, you might be able to hear my kiddos in the background. They're all good. All right. The third one is they have some deeper level of connection and attraction towards you. We're going to flip the script so that they're the one that's actually chasing after you instead of the other way around. How good would that feel? Would you love to get there? Again, raise your hand. Let me know in the comments. And the last one is commitment. And this is where they give you their heart fully again. Now, before I go deeper into each of these 4 steps, let me know in the chat, which of these do you think most people want? Which of these do most people want right off the bat? So your spouse is pulling away. They say, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. They say, I want a divorce. Which of these does most people want first? Okay, which one do you think? They want the pause button, maybe connection, commitment. Exactly. Yeah. Hands down, most people push for a connection or a commitment from their spouse. Because I get it, right? When your spouse is pulling away, that is terrifying. I know when my husband puts up walls and I feel like he's withdrawing from me, it scares the heck out of me. And I'm like, come back to me. And I want to have that security from him of knowing, hey, we have this connection. We have this commitment with each other. But what happens is when your spouse is pulling away and you push for connection or commitment too soon, it backfires. I'm going to explain why here in the masterclass today, because that is a huge mistake that most people make. And I understand why you make it, but I'm going to show how to not make that mistake and why we even make that mistake in the first place, so you don't fall into that trap. All right, let's go deeper into it. So the first step here is the pause button. Let me go back real quick. One of the most important things at High Thrive is that we always solve problems in order. So this pause button must be the first step that you take and the first milestone that you reach before you can even think about going on to the others. So we always want to make sure we solve problems in order. Okay. So the pause button is where they stop pulling away from you more and they stop moving closer towards divorce or another person. Now, I often relate this in like an analogy here of a train on a track, right? It's like right now you guys are on this track and you're just going full speed towards the edge of a cliff, right? Full speed towards divorce, towards disaster. And I know that so many of you just want to like go from where you are to them saying, I want to come back with you. I love you. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I put my wedding rings back on. I left the affair partner, but you can't get there from there. We have to slow down the momentum of that train. We have to hit the brakes and get that train to stop before we can get it going in the right direction. And that's why it's so important that you hit the pause button with your spouse first. So here are some signs to know if your spouse has hit the pause button. First, they are no longer actively pulling away more. Second, they stop going forward with divorce or separation. And third, they stop talking about leaving. Maybe they stop talking about divorce. Okay. So these are all signs that your spouse has hit the pause button. And what's going on here is they are considering the possibility of staying and being happy with you. But note, they are not decided yet. Okay. They're not decided yet. They're not building connection with you and they're not giving you their commitment. This is the first step they have to hit though. So let me know in the chat, do you feel like your spouse has hit the pause button yet? Some of you may feel like they have. Some of you may feel like we're in the friends stage, or they really aren't threatening divorce or separation and they have ended the affair. If they've hit the pause button, let me know. And if they haven't, let me know because I want to see where you guys are at. So say no, maybe somewhat. Okay. Have not hit the pause button. No way. Running faster away. All right, good. Then you need to make sure you take action quickly to turn that train around, right? No, they have not. Yes, I see my wife has hit the pause. Okay. So for those of you who have their spouse hit the pause button, make sure you pay attention to the next steps I'm going to share, because if you haven't fully reconciled and restored your relationship, that means you're missing something. So we want to make sure we don't miss the next steps I'm going to share. All right. So if your spouse has not hit the pause button, it simply means you've missed something along the way. And most people miss it too, which is why they don't save their marriage from divorce. So give yourself some grace. The good news is you can learn how to with our proven process. One of the biggest mistakes most people make is pushing for their spouse's full commitment too soon and putting too much pressure on the relationship. Remember, I talked about that. We do not want to solve problems out of order, and you cannot push for connection and commitment right now. That's going to put too much pressure on the relationship. We call this our push versus pull method. And these are some very common mistakes that people make AKA pushing your spouse. And I'll be the first to raise my hand and say, I've made every single one of these. So lean in here, pay attention, and see if you might be doing one of these, even if it's subconsciously. Okay. Because if you're doing any of these things, it's only going to push your spouse further away. So we want to make sure we're not making one of these mistakes. Let me know in the chat if any of them stand out to you, if you feel like you're making any of these or have. First is demanding that they work on the marriage. This might sound like you need to go to therapy with me. You need to end the affair. You need to leave that person and come back to me. You need to change. You need to honor your marriage vows. You need to do this for the kids. You need to talk to me. We've got to sit down and have a talk about this, right? When we are trying to kind of put our will on our spouse and make these demands, that's what we're talking about. So let us know if you are doing any of that. Second is manipulating them to try and get them back. This can be very obvious forms of maybe manipulation, like threats, like I'm going to take the kids from you. I'm going to ruin your credit. If you have this affair, I'm going to go sleep with whoever I want and do whatever I want, right? Or it might be a little more subtle, right? Like trying to use the kids to get at them, or someone else to try to get at them, right? Or giving them the silent treatment, or pretending that someone at work is interested in you, or someone on social media is interested in you, like faking an affair or faking that someone is interested in you so that they'll be jealous and they'll want to come back. I've done that. It's not pretty, it's ugly, but sometimes we do these things and we do them out of fear, which we're going to go into in a little bit. What about begging, pleading, acting out of desperation? Please don't go. Please come back to me. Please, 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 please. I'm giving, give me another chance. I'll do anything. I'll work on myself. I'll make all these positive changes. I'll be everything you said you need. I'll do all the things that you said you wanted, and I'll stop doing all the things you said you didn't want. Anything like that. All right. Who here can relate to the begging, the pleading, acting out of desperation? This one is a very common one. And then the last one is freezing and doing nothing out of fear. Sometimes we don't know what to do or what to say, so we end up doing nothing. And what happens is all of these will only push your spouse further away. All of these will not feel safe or attractive or inviting or even respectful of them. And so they will absolutely backfire. So let me know over in the chat, which of these do you think that you might be doing? Okay, I see some comments here. I've been using all my time trying to consider feelings. Okay, I did it at the beginning, but I haven't tried to manipulate her. To my understanding, I did begging. Early on, I was push. I've learned a good bit in the past 18 months. Awesome. Freezing is what I'm doing the most now because I'm scared to talk to her. Yeah, sometimes we get so worked up, like it's an opportunity maybe to say something and we just don't know what to say, so we end up saying nothing, and then we beat ourselves up about it, and that makes us more afraid. It's definitely a pattern that happens quite commonly. So those are the things we don't want to do. What we want to do is to pull our spouse to us, and this is going to help them to hit that pause button so they stop pushing away further from us, right? And pull your spouse to you like a magnet. Right now, it's like you've got the wrong ends of the magnet together and you just have all that tension, and that just things are just repelling each other, right? And what we want to do is get that magnet flipped the right way so you just sink back up and you're naturally drawn back together, all right? As we hit that pause button and they no longer pull away from you. So the first thing we want to do is take the pressure off so they no longer feel the need to have more space from you. All right, so this one is really going to be a case-by-case basis, but more often than not, just stopping all of these behaviors, I'm going to go back here, by stopping any of these behaviors, that's going to take the pressure off. There may be other things that you're doing that you don't realize are actually backfiring. I'm going to give an example. So I'm going to change the client's name to Tom, but Tom's wife, we'll say Sandy, was saying, please stop texting me. I told you it's over. You should just move on. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Has anyone gotten a text message like that, or their spouse said as much, right? And he said, well, I'm going to fight for my marriage. And so he would send her a text every single day showing her how much he loved her, showing pictures of their wedding day, reminding her of the marriage vows, and saying, I love you. I'm never going to give up on us. And all the while she was like, please stop texting me. Please stop texting me. Please stop texting me. So when he came to us, he thought that by texting her, he was showing her, I'm not giving up on my marriage. But this behavior was absolutely backfiring because it was continuing to put pressure on her and on the relationship. And do you think that Sandy felt very heard or understood or respected by Tom as he continued to text her when she asked him not to, right? It did not. And so as we helped Tom realize that that was what was going on, and we said, you need to stop texting her. And he's like, I feel like I'm giving up. I'm like, you're not giving up. You're actually showing her some respect and some understanding, and it's going to go a long ways. So he stopped texting her. He took the pressure off. So she no longer felt the need to have more space from Tom. As he did that, then she hit the pause button. She stopped pulling away more. She stopped talking about divorce. And it was what they needed to create some space in the relationship. So that's going to be a case-by-case situation for you. All right. We're going to help you identify what's really going on in your relationship and what you might be doing that you even might think are the right things that are actually backfiring and pushing your spouse further away. And just by stopping those things, it's going to create that space needed for them to hit the pause button. The second is increase some validation towards them and some understanding towards them. And this one can be challenging. Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because more often than not, when we are back in these behaviors, let me go back. Who are we really thinking about in all of these things? If we're demanding, manipulating them, begging, pleading, acting out of fear, desperation, if we're freezing, who are we really focused on with all of this? Let me know in the chat. I'm going to see who nails it first. Who are we thinking about? Are we thinking about our spouse and what they're really wanting and why they're really doing what they're doing? Yeah, exactly. Us. Yeah. Will, Nick, Marcia, boom. You guys got it. Nancy. Exactly. We're really focused on ourselves. And I'm going to show you why that's not your fault, but it's not the only choice that you can make. You can make a new choice. And that is to understand where your spouse is coming from, increase some understanding towards them, gain insight into what their perspective is. What are they really wanting? What was Tom's wife really wanting? Why was Sandy saying, don't text me, right? She didn't want to feel all the pressure of, you've got to come back to me, right? It was backfiring. And as he understood where she was really coming from and gave her some space, that enabled her to hit the pause button. And you can get there too, as we uncover what are the behaviors that might be focused more on yourself. How can we shift that, take some of the pressure off, and increase some understanding towards what your spouse is wanting? All right. And then the final piece here is pattern interrupt. Right now, you're in a certain pattern with your spouse, just like Tom was in a pattern with Sandy. He was in a pattern of texting her every day, and he thought he was doing the right thing, but it was not working. And you're in a pattern right now with your spouse. There's a certain way that you talk about things or don't talk about things. There's a certain way you handle the affair. There's a certain way you're handling the kids. There's a certain dynamic between you. There's a certain way you greet each other when you see each other or you don't, right? So right now you're in a pattern, and you've created this pattern over weeks, months, sometimes even years. So what we want to do is identify what that pattern is and interrupt it. Create a new pattern. Because if you keep doing the same things you've been doing, what's going to happen? Right. You're going to get the same results. That's the definition of insanity. You guys are not insane. You're very intelligent. So what we want to do is start to do some new things in some new ways, and you're going to get some new results. And when you interrupt that pattern, like Tom did with Sandy, and he said, okay, I'm not going to text you anymore. I'm going to respect you. What does that do? It gets her attention and gets her to consider the possibility of staying. And that's what we want to do with you too. So all of these are going to get your wife or your husband's attention and get them to consider the possibility of staying, and they will hit that pause button. So how do we do this? Well, I wanted to let you know that, remember, we talked about how you're really focusing on yourselves with all those push methods, right? The begging, the pleading, the demanding, the manipulating, the freezing out of fear, right? And I really want you to know it's really not your fault that that is what you've done so far. Like I said, I did all of those myself. Most people feel so overwhelmed, so unsure, so full of pain and fear that they totally get this wrong when they try to do it on their own, or they do other just ineffective methods that are out there. Again, it's not your fault that you haven't been able to do this on your own. There's actually a biological reason behind this. Okay. See, what happens is that during and after a fight, or your spouse leaving, or saying, I want a divorce, or they say, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, or you find out that there is an affair going on, what happens is there is a heightened emotional state where your body responds to the rejection and the tension as if it were an actual physical trauma or threat. And your brain pumps out cortisol, epinephrine, and other stress hormones. Your body and your brain were designed to do this to protect you from dangerous situations. It served our ancestors very well years ago when we lived on like the savannah and we had to worry about a lion, right? We needed that fight, flight, or freeze mode to respond quickly to danger. But even though in this case, there isn't a physical danger, your body and your brain, they don't know the difference. And what happens is that this process clouds your thinking. It causes you to react out of instinct and you do not make logical decisions. Emotionally, you just can't help but get into fear. And that is a normal human response. We go from worrying about the relationship to worrying about protecting myself. I want to know that I'm safe, that I'm not going to be alone. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be kicked out of the tribe. I don't want my spouse to leave me. I need them to come back so I can feel more safe and secure. And we do become very self-centered and very focused on our own, protecting our own self, right? So this process here can lead to intense emotional distress and even physical pain. In fact, you might feel some of that pain right now in your body. You might feel some of this tension in your body right now. It might feel like your heart being stabbed. Where do you guys feel it? Let me know in the chat. Like a pain in your chest. It might feel like bricks just pressing down on your back, like you're carrying the weight of the world, of all this responsibility and this heaviness on you. It might feel like clenching in your stomach, or you're just sick to your stomach. You might feel like tension and pinching in your mind, like you just can't figure this out. You can't sleep at night. You can't focus at work. You can't really be present with your kids, and you're not really yourself. Anyone here relate to any of that? Sometimes we feel like, I don't even know who I am. I don't even know why I just did that. That is not even me. And you're right. It's not really you. It's this biological response. And if you leave yourself to only your own biological responses, it's not going to work to save your marriage. So all of the above, yep, the intense feelings are behind me. Yeah, I might be feeling more, maybe a little more numb now. Like my brain can't focus on anything other than the situation we're in. I feel foggy all the time. Yeah, it feels like being stabbed. Yeah, exactly. All right. So you guys can feel that in your body. And that is what happens when we're in this process. My hips, my legs, headaches, my body feels tired a lot. I'm even more anxious, suspicious. I can think, especially when I try to talk to her. Yeah. So what happens is if you rely on your instincts right now, there is no way that you can expect to be in a clear-headed manner to draw them back to you. That's why we don't act like our real selves. We don't even act like the person we know we are, right? We don't act from our higher self. And that's where most people fail to ever salvage their marriage, is they're trying to do it on their own. And more couples do end up getting divorced. The good news is that you don't have to do it alone and risk losing them forever. So we've created this scientifically proven 4-step process that takes you from where you are, point A, where you're broken, you're unhappy, you can't even think straight, you know, they're not talking to you, and you're distant and heartbroken, to point B, where you guys said you want to be 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, where you're back together with your spouse. They're wanting to spend time with you, wanting to talk with you, and you're crazy in love more than ever before. So you will learn how to stop unintentionally pushing them away and learn how to pull them back to you naturally and effortlessly. That is why it is so important to have guidance from an expert, so you know what will work and what will not. One of my favorite sayings is, you cannot read the label when you are inside the bottle. We are all inside the bottle of our own marriage, of our own lives. In fact, I held up a bottle the other day and I was showing my daughters. I was like, see, like you can't read the label, right? We're too close to it. We can't see it for what it is. I am in the bottle of my own marriage and I cannot see it for what it is. You are in the bottle of your own marriage and you cannot see it for what it is. It takes someone from the outside who knows how to read the label on your bottle, diagnose what's really going on, and prescribe the exact treatment plan to get you the result that you want. So let me know in the chat, do you want your marriage assessed by an expert? We offer completely free marriage assessment for those that are serious about getting help and exploring coaching with us to see if that's a good fit. In this marriage assessment call, we will analyze what's really going on in your marriage. We will read the label on your bottle. We will prescribe the right treatment plan to get you to the result that you want. So if you guys want that, it's completely free. Yes, David asks, is it completely free? Yes, it's 100% completely free. You'll talk to Coach Curtis here and he will do that marriage assessment for you guys. So awesome. Yeah, yep, at 100%. So I see some comments coming over there. Coach Curtis will reach out to you guys and show you how to get that assessment. All right, now, after your marriage is assessed, we've read the label on your bottle. Then it's vital that you follow your coach's plan for you so you can successfully hit all 4 of these reconciliation markers. Without all 4, your marriage will not likely be saved. All right. Here's a client win shared with permission, anonymously though. Heather, my wife served me a separation agreement a month ago, and I've been looking it over, making little edits and comments so we can go over it together first. This morning, she tells me she doesn't want me to sign it. She said, let's wait and see what happens. We can always make a new one later on if we have to. She hasn't said she wants back in, but this feels really good. I have actually been doing less, and I thought it was giving up. Thank you and Marc for founding High Thrive and making this information and support available. So my friends, let me know in the chat, what step is this client at? Which of the milestones has he just nailed? You guys are really smart. I'm sure you can get it. Let me know in the chat, see who gets it first. Which step is this client at? Pause button. Good job, Greg. Awesome, and that's right. So what happened? His wife served him a separation agreement a month ago. So 1 month later, okay? Now she says, let's wait and see what happens. We can always make a new one on later on if we have to. See, she's giving herself an out because she's not there yet. She's not fully connected. She's not fully committed, but she's hitting the pause button. She's saying, let's wait. And what I love about this is he says, I've actually been doing less. Less of what? Less of all the stuff that does not work. He thought it was giving up. Was it giving up? No, it was taking the pressure off, which enabled his wife to hit that pause button. All right, now, when your spouse has hit the pause button, step 2 is where they start to take some steps towards you. Here is going, getting tongue-tied. Here is where they're going to want to spend more time with you as they are attracted to you again. Our goal here is to have them want you and want to spend more time with you, want to open up communication with you and increase the amount that you are communicating, especially if you're not communicating hardly at all right now. That's totally normal. Most of our clients start there. So let me know in the chat. Some of you said your spouse has already hit the pause button. So if they've already hit the pause button, let me know, are they already here at step 2? Are they wanting to spend time with you? Are they willing to talk with you about things? Are they open to talking about the relationship? Okay, so let me know over in the chat if you feel like you have hit step 2, where your spouse is starting to take steps towards you. All right, I'm moving. Okay, nope, not yet, not there yet. Nope. All right, let me know if anyone has a spouse that is willing and wanting to spend time with them. Marcia, no. Okay, Nancy, thank you. I'm not seeing anyone yet, but I'll keep an eye on the chat. So let me know if you feel like you're there yet. So if not, it means you haven't reached this milestone yet. Okay, nope, no contact. Yes, a pause has happened and she is spending time with you. Good. Okay, we'll pay attention to the next part here. So what happens is that you probably lost the spark, right? You may have let unhealthy patterns and issues get in the way. And maybe that's why they said they needed space, or they started to pull back, or they wanted out. And that's what they really mean when they're saying, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. It means they've lost their desire for you, their desire to be with you, their willingness to work on the relationship. And this is why desire is actually more powerful than love, because you can love someone and have no desire to be with them. True. You can get that back, and it's easier than you might realize when you do it the right way. So instead of letting your fear and your biological instincts repel their desire for you even more. The biggest mistake you can make right now is trying to resolve deep issues when you don't have their desire to do so. So if you keep bringing up the affair and keep bringing up why they want a divorce, and you keep saying, hey, I'm going to be a better person for you, and what are all the things I can do to fix myself to get you back, right? And they're not willing to talk to you about it, and they don't have any desire to talk about it, that's like trying to drag a camel to water, right? You can kick, you can scream, bribe, remind them of their vows, demand that they work on things, remind them of all your happy times together, try to convince them all you want. But if the camel isn't thirsty, it's not going to drink. So let me know in the chat, what have you already done to try and solve this issue? And why do you think it hasn't worked? So let me know over in the chat, what have you already done to try and solve this? Have you tried to work on yourself? Have you tried to improve yourself? Have you tried to meet all their needs and make all the changes? Have you tried self-help books and YouTube videos? Have you tried going to counseling? Have you tried therapy? Have you tried listening to the advice of your friends and family? I know I tried all of them and none of them worked. First, I started with the self-help books. I tried love languages. My husband's love language was physical touch, but that didn't resolve the deeper issues between us. Then I tried the love dare and just tried to service him to death. And that wasn't even hitting the mark at all. So then when I tried to get him to counseling, he wouldn't go. So none of these things were working. All right. I've tried all of the above. I'm in therapy and trying to be more attentive to her needs. All right. And what else are you guys doing? Working on myself. I see some other comments coming in. Thank you, Coach Curtis, for answering some of those. I've changed my life radically. I've been helpful towards her. I've allowed her space. All right. And that's for, I think, David, why you're a little, yeah, you said you are on the pause button. So you're doing that very well. But you're still probably missing a few more things to change her story about you. I started therapy for my mental disorders. She won't go to couples therapy. I've gone through a few programs, each helped in its own way, but I'm still missing the key component to reconcile. Yeah, let's dig into that for sure. I've done all the things. Now I'm giving it to God. Yeah. All right. So if you and your spouse aren't blissfully in love right now, it means you've missed something along the way. You're missing their desire. And unless you have that, they're not going to want to come back to you. They're not going to want to talk to you. So our process helps to turn their unwillingness into willingness. As we hit the pause button, we reduce that tension, we interrupt some of those patterns. Now we're going to help to rekindle that spark of desire again. And their desire will make all the rest unfold exactly as it's meant to. So we literally coach our clients word for word on what to say to your spouse to reignite that spark of desire again. We show you exactly what to text them, what to send back to a text that you get from them, how to have in-person conversations so that your efforts don't keep backfiring and you stop unintentionally pushing your spouse further away. We show our clients exactly what to do to have their spouse naturally feel attraction for them again. All right. So now that your spouse has hit the pause button, we're going to show you how to flip their emotional switch so they desire to be with you again and they start taking steps towards you. In this process, you will no longer be the one that's chasing after them, desperate to get them back. They're going to be the one that's taking steps towards you. Did I say that correctly? They're the ones that are taking steps towards you. Let me show you how this works in real life, because I love real stories. I believe results don't lie. So this is a client that was on the verge of divorce. His wife was unwilling to talk with him at all. And this is what he shared. Biggest win. After 2 months and was doing everything wrong until I started the program and changed my whole outlook and stubborn ways, it was heartbreaking to hear she was moving into her own townhouse last week. But it simply turned to her missing me and she reached out. We talked here and there, but yesterday she called me out of the blue and we had a great talk. Even better today. And tonight, she dropped more hints than a little that she wants to get back together. What is he doing right here? So she is moving to her own townhouse. He was heartbroken, but what did he do? You can read between the lines, right? He took the pressure off, right? And as he did that, then what happened? She started missing him and she reached out. So who is chasing after who here? Who is initiating things here, right? So now they're talking and they had a great talk. And now she is dropping hints that she wants to get back together. That is how this process works. And that brings us to step 3, where we deepen that connection between you. Now it is the right time. We are solving problems in order. We are not relying on our biological instincts and the mistakes that we continue to make if we do this on our own. Here, in step 3, as we build this connection, they feel safe and close to you, and they often invent excuses to be around you. As we move into step 3, now it is the right time to resolve the issues between you and to heal fully. Before this, it was not the right time. I often relate it to like the stability of a patient in a hospital, right? Right now, if your spouse has not hit the pause button and they are not taking steps towards you, and they're not willing to talk with you, your relationship is too fragile. It does not have the strength to be fully reconciled and to even attempt at connection or commitment. Again, it's going to backfire. What we need to do is create some stability and some strength in your relationship so that you can get to this place where you start to heal the deeper issues and deepen that connection between you, okay? So imagine a patient going into a hospital, right? And say they have a brain tumor, some of these deeper underlying issues is what we're going to relate that to, okay? And they need to have surgery. They need to get it taken care of. They need to heal from that. But in this case, the patient is in cardiac arrest. They're having a heart attack. And they go into the ER, and what are the doctors going to do, the surgeons? Are they going to go operate on the brain tumor right now? Or are they going to stop the cardiac arrest, right? They're going to stop the heart attack. They're going to get the patient stable first so that then the patient is stable enough and healthy enough and strong enough to handle the surgery on the brain tumor. So right now, what we need to do is create some health and some stability and some strength in the relationship. So then it can handle talking about the affair. It can handle talking about why they're not happy. It can handle why you were so blindsided, or maybe all the mistakes that you've ever made, right? This is now the time that we can handle those conversations and resolve those things so that you have that healthy, functional dynamic between you. Make sense? Really hope that makes sense. Okay. So here is where most people make a huge mistake though. As you're deepening this connection and they want to spend time with you and you're able to talk about almost anything because a lot of that tension and those old patterns that you've been in are completely gone, right? But here is where most people make a huge mistake. And for those that said, yeah, my spouse has hit the pause button, they're willing to talk with me, but we're not quite fully reconciled, I want to make sure you don't make this mistake as well. And for those who aren't there yet, I want to make sure you know about this mistake so when you get there, you don't make it, all right? What happens is they either A, get stuck in the friends stage. They don't deepen that connection into romance and passion. They just kind of become friends and things are friendly and they're kind and considerate and understanding, but there's no spark of romance, right? Or B, they push too hard, too soon for commitment and that backfires. So let me know in the chat, do you feel like you've made either one of these mistakes if you've gotten there yet? If you haven't gotten there yet, just put this in the back of your mind and know that it's a mistake that many people make as they start to deepen that connection and reconcile and resolve some of these issues. All right, you say B, you pushed too hard for commitment too soon and it backfired. That's sometimes why we see the ping pong effect, like the teeter-totter effect, where they're warm and then they're cold. They come to you and then they pull away, right? So we want to make sure that we don't push for commitment too soon and have it backfire or get stuck in the friend stage. All right, thank you. So we've identified that there are 12 quote unquote tests that your spouse puts you through before they finally give their heart to you and they let go of their old story about you and the belief that they have right now about you. And we will help you pass all of them. So they no longer see you in the way that they do right now. I think was it Brian or David? Yeah, I think it was David. You were talking about how you aren't quite there yet. And that is indicative to me that your spouse is holding on to a story or belief about you. I can't be happy here. I never really get what I want. I'm not sure I can trust. I'm not sure if it's safe. I don't know if I can really find myself here, right? They have a story or a belief about you. And what we want to do is identify what that story is, what are the underlying reasons why they believe that about you, and then change that belief or that story so that they see you with fresh eyes. They see you for who you really are. So we will coach you on how to wipe the slate clean by completely changing their perception about you, no matter how long held their beliefs were about you or how many mistakes you made. So you both can not just forget about the past, it's really learn from the past, but mostly you can see each other with fresh eyes. How good would it feel to have your spouse see you with fresh eyes, to see you for who you really are, for them to actually know what's in your heart and to accept you for who you really are? That is what we do. We are not here to just manipulate or force our spouse to come back, because A, that's a win-lose. And B, it wouldn't work long-term. And C, it's not what you really want anyway. What you really want is your spouse to love and accept you, flaws and all, mistakes and all, past pain and all, and love you for who you really are. Agreed? So do you guys want to know how we helped our client Leah end her husband's affair and restore trust between them? This is her story. So her husband was about a month before their son was to be born. And he said, I want a divorce. I am in love with another woman and I want to go marry her. So that was where Leah was when she first came to us. Now Leah says, a year ago today, my husband and I brought our son, Gideon, into the world. But this day doesn't just mark his birthday. On this special day a year ago today, I was terrified. Even though my husband was there for the birth of our first son, I was petrified of the unknown, of what was to come. And I had no idea what lied ahead of me, of us. I was afraid I was going to raise our son by myself, that the most my husband would see him was to visit and I would be alone. But here we are 1 year later, and my husband and I are happier than we've been in years and stronger than ever. We are doing this parenting thing together and we are striving every day to have a thriving marriage. All right, we wouldn't be where we are today without the tools that Marc Johnston and Heather Choate gave me. And I must say it took work and consistency, but man, was it all worth it. I'm truly blessed to have found this program. I'm so blessed to be able to work with an amazing team. Thank you guys for all you do. And for those of you working to have a thriving marriage, don't give up. Stay consistent. There is a rainbow after every storm. This too shall pass and you will rise stronger than ever before. I love Leah's story. And not only did her husband leave the other woman, but they restored the trust. They healed those issues. And both of them say they're actually grateful that the affair happened. Weird thing to say, but that's her own words, right? Because it helped them understand the underlying issues that led to the affair in the first place. An affair is always a symptom of a deeper issue. And now at step 3 is when you can uncover those deeper issues and resolve them so they don't keep coming back. If you choose not to resolve them, then the same painful cycles will continue to come back. They will continue to resurface time and time and time again. I'm sure you have seen it in the lives of your friends and your loved ones and in our culture. It may not be with the same person. It may be another relationship. If you do not learn the skills on how to have a healthy and functional marriage, then the same painful cycles tend to repeat themselves. So it's time to put an end to the pain, an end to the dysfunctional cycles. It's time to learn the skills to create that healthy relationship that you are really craving. And as you do that, then we go here to step 4, which is commitment. And this is where your spouse gives you their heart fully again. And as they do, it's not just for this moment, but it is for life. So I want you to imagine how amazing you will feel to know exactly what to do to have your spouse come running after you and begging to be with you? I want you to imagine what a relief it will be to have a step-by-step plan that takes the guesswork out of it and the mistakes you will suffer if you try to do this alone. No more crying, overanalyzing, ruminating, worrying, stressing, beating yourself up, losing sleep, begging them, and then crying even more. No more of that. Just the sweet, easy feeling of peace, knowing that you have now rekindled the romance between you, and you get to spend the rest of your lives together in security, ease, and passion. Just you and them together forever. So I want to know, what is it worth to you to get there? How much does this relationship mean to you? If you could measure on a scale of 1 to 10 and put your answer in the chat, how important is saving your marriage to you? How important is it to you to know that you can live your life with no regrets, with peace of mind, knowing that you did everything you could to make this relationship as good as it possibly could be, and to know that you became a better person? Because the challenges that you're in right now, they came to you for a reason. They came to teach you something. And I understand it can be hell. It is hell. Let's just admit it. Like, you're walking through hell right now. But this hell can be what leads to your heaven because you rise above it. You become a better, stronger version of yourself. And you understand the skills that are required to create that healthy relationship. All right, going to the chat over here. I mean, everything important. It's the only, very important. It's the only, it's the only want I have in my life right now. Got it. 1,000%. Marsha, love it. Brian, 100%. Nancy, 100. 100. Greg, 100. Nick, 100. 1,000. Beautiful. Nelson, 100. Awesome. All right. So in just a moment, I'm going to tell you guys how you can get access to our 4-step path coaching process to get them running back to you. But before I do that, I want to ask you guys a question. Would you give anything to end your pain? Be back with your love again and in love again. Would you give anything to have a new, healthy, and beautiful relationship with them, where you love and accept them for who they really are, flaws and all, and they love and accept you for who you really are, flaws and all? Of course you would. That's why you're here. So we have spent thousands of hours working with couples. We've distilled our most powerful methods into the simple 4-step coaching plan that will flip that switch deep inside of them. The person that you love, the person that you married is still there. They are. They're just going through a whole lot right now. And we need to help connect them with who they really are and trigger that most unstoppable desire and have them begging to be back with you again. So here's a bit of an inside peek. People often ask, well, how long will this take? What is kind of the process? How does it work? And we'll answer all of your questions. Typically, within just a few weeks from now, your spouse is going to hit that pause button. They will no longer be pulling away from you more. They're going to take divorce off the table, or they'll just stop talking about it. And they're going to no longer be moving closer towards divorce or another person. And you will know what's really going on between you. You will know what patterns you need to interrupt with them. You will know what behaviors you might need to stop doing that are actually backfiring. Maybe unintentional. They may even be the things you think are the right things. You're going to know what those are, and you're going to know what the right things to do are so that your spouse hits that pause button. And then within just a few short weeks from now, you'll have our guidance on exactly what to text them, how to have the hard conversations. When is it the right time to have the hard conversations to solve problems in order, right? How to have them want to spend time with you, how to open up communication and want to be with you again. And you will flip that emotional switch and trigger their desire for you. So we're going to post a link right here in the chat on how you can book a free breakthrough session with us, the marriage assessment, and see if coaching with us is a good fit. So team member Diego is going to post that link over there for you guys right now, and I will show you exactly what that page looks like. This, oh, no, this is it. So you will see a link to this right over here in the chat, and that will show you exactly how you can book that free marriage assessment with us, okay? And as you do that, you will see that we have some times open on our calendar. The bad news is that they do fill up very, very quickly. We have a full masterclass today, and spots usually fill out within the hour or less. So make sure, if this speaks to you, that you take action and you do not live your life with regrets. Because the worst thing any of us could do is have an opportunity to change our life, to change our relationship, and not take action. How do you want to look back at this time at the end of your life? Do you want to look back on it with peace of mind, knowing that you did everything you could to save your marriage, to become a better version of yourself? Or do you want to look back with regret, saying, I had an opportunity and I didn't take it. I didn't do it. So that is why we're offering this to you guys today, completely free. And we will explore what coaching with us looks like during that call. We will explain exactly how to have your spouse hit the pause button, take some steps towards you, deepen connection, and give you their commitment to turn your marriage around quickly. So we will talk about exactly what is the best fit for you with your budget and where you are at with your spouse, and answer every single question that you have during that call. I love that you guys have questions. That's good and that's normal. What I want you to do is focus more on where you want to go than on what you don't want to have happen. Focus more on the marriage that you want to create and the relationship you want to see than on everything that's going wrong. There's a saying in race car driving, don't look at the wall. They don't want their drivers to look at the wall because that's what they fear. All the drivers fear hitting that wall, because if they hit the wall, they're dead. And in the training, they say, look down the track. Do not look at the wall. The wall is everything you don't want. And I would bet money on it that you've been focusing more on the wall than on where you want to go. But this is for people who are focusing on where they want to go, so that they can do some new things in some new ways to get some new results. And when you do that, everything in your life is going to change, and you can have that peace of mind knowing that you did everything for your marriage. So I encourage you to take action. We have the link over there. If you're listening to the replay, I will put it in the email. But like I mentioned, spots fill very, very quickly. We have a small team and we're working to expand, but we work really in depth and closely with all of our clients. This email is going to go out to over 60,000 people within the next 24 hours. So if this speaks to you, again, I encourage you to book quickly. And if it's already full, then check back in a few days and see if we can't get you back in at that time. My heart, my love, my appreciation goes out to you. You are amazing to me. I honor you for coming here and showing up for yourself, for your family, and for your marriage. This may be the best thing that you've ever done in your life, and you will have generations that may thank you for the good choices that you've made, even as you're walking through this hell. One of my favorite things is that we can't always control what happens. You can't control your spouse, but you get to control what you do. And you can be like a rock in a storm, and you might be in the worst storm of your life, but as you choose to learn how to center yourself, how to empower yourself and learn new skills, you'll be like a rock in a storm, and you cannot be moved no matter what happens outside around you. And that will be a blessing to you and your family for generations to come. So thank you for coming today. No matter what, I send you my heart and my love, and I encourage you to continue to move forward in positive directions for your life and for your marriage, because it is important to me. It's sacred. So thank you for joining me today, and I cannot wait to see your marriage thrive.